It is straight up at 1 o'clock, and welcome to the Voice of Laguna, wherever you happen to be listening from across the globe, across the country. Welcome. Delighted to have you with us on a Friday, a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous day here in Laguna Beach. And a conversation I've been waiting to have. I've been waiting to have this conversation for a while. I rarely read a book twice. I read this book twice. And really, quite frankly, don't know how I put it down either time. When Mike Maimone wrote "Guess What? I Love You," he wrote it as a memoir of the great love of his life and the tragedy of losing that love too soon. He's also, by the way, produced an album of fantastic music by the same name. And what we hear on the album and what we read in the book is Mike channeling his grief into words and music. And it's the story of when he met legendary publicist Howard Bragman. You know, the best things in life you don't expect to happen. And that's exactly what happened between the two of them. Neither of them expected a once-in-a-lifetime love story to unfold. We are going to examine that love story and examine the music of that love story through Mike's words today. We welcome into the studio for the conversation Mike Maimone. Mike, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Ed.
I love that you're here. I've known you for a while. I'm going to get the asterisks out of this. I've known you, and I've never known this story until I read the book and listened to the album.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this, first of all. I know that this is, it had to be an emotional upheaval, almost like emotional vomiting, if I could, to get the story out, to get it on paper, to get it into music.
It was. And it came out very ugly, like emotional vomiting. It was a lot of crying, a lot of traveling. Like if I was on a plane, I would just be jotting notes to myself and full body sobbing, and the guy next to me is probably wondering what the hell is happening.
Right.
So it was definitely a catharsis in every way.
All right. I want to ask you and learn about Howard and have our audience learn about Howard during this segment here. There is no time limit on this segment, so we'll even take forever here if it has to be. Howard Bragman, a lot of people know the name, legendary publicist. I think the first thing that I think of after having read the book is when Howard crosses your thoughts, does it make you happy or does it make you sad?
I think that question is perfect for anyone who has experienced grief because it's not any one thing. It just sort of depends on my mood and my surroundings and the thought. And I think initially it was mostly sadness and missing him and regret and mourning the future that we weren't going to experience together. But through the process of creativity of the record and the book, those moments and those thoughts started to turn more to happiness. And now it's almost entirely happiness. Right. There's still obviously longing and wondering what could have been and feeling for him like he should still be here, like he got cheated out of the rest of his life. But I think at this point it's finally come around to being mostly happiness.
Okay. Well, that's good. That makes me feel good. The way that you met, not the most conventional meeting.
No.
It took a long time to actually meet personally.
Yeah.
Explain that to our audience.
So we were long distance from the start. I lived in Nashville. Howard lived in Los Angeles. And Howard was a publicist who did sort of mainstream publicity, but the cause nearest and dearest to his heart was always LGBTQ plus causes. So when he first started his first business, it was 1989. So that was marriage equality, AIDS awareness, gay rights, worked with GLAAD a lot, worked with AIDS Project Los Angeles. And then he started transitioning to helping queer celebrities come out, which was so important for our communities to increase visibility.
Right.
And so he was doing hey guys. our friends.
Yeah.
So he was working on one of these projects. He was assisting a trans woman by the name of Olivia Hill coming out. She had been treated abusively by her employer at Vanderbilt. So she was filing a wrongful termination suit, and Howard was on the case, and so he knew he was going to be in Nashville working on this, and so he was on Scruff, scouting ahead, looking for guys, and I happened to see him reach out to me, and his first message was, I listened to your music. It's very soulful, reminds me of the love child of Randy Newman and Leon Russell. And I was like, this is not your ordinary Scruff banter. Like, who is this guy? So I asked for his phone number, and we talked on the phone every day.
Right.
Unfortunately, he was 2,000 miles away, and he didn't end up coming to Nashville. He did his job so well that Vanderbilt settled out of court. And so we just kept in touch. It took 2.5 months for us to finally meet in person.
You eventually met in person in New York.
Yes.
So he had a client in New York that he had to fly out and see. And you were playing gigs, and scheduling, I guess, was the toughest thing at that time.
Absolutely. I had a weekly residency every Wednesday. I was performing in Nashville. I had gigs on the weekends, so there's just no time to get away until he said, I've got this show. One of my clients is doing this big comeback performance, and just magically my weekend was free.
Right. And in the 2.5 months of contact in between the first contact and eventually getting to see him, were you falling in love in that 2.5 months, or were you just really wondering, is this guy for real?
There was a little bit of both. I mean, I think I put up some walls because of our distance, because of our age difference. I thought, I wanted somebody my own age. I had dated older, younger, my age, and I just thought that's what I wanted.
Right.
But we spoke on the phone multiple times a day, and I'm not a phone person. So there was something telling me this was just a perfect fit. We became best friends, maybe due to our difference, maybe because we didn't get that dating app like one and done situation.
Right.
So we really got to know each other and became best friends over the phone by the time we met.
Right. And the you say one and done situation. You were not by any means ever promiscuous. You'd had long-term relationships.
Yeah.
And this was in the book you write that this was your year of yes.
Yeah, that is a very important thread in the book.
Yes, and you were willing to explore a little bit. And I wonder if you were willing to explore with the heart, because you had just split from a 6-year relationship with a fiancé.
Yes.
3 of those years were as fiancé.
Right.
I think that's a long time to be a fiancé.
There were red flags.
Yeah. Did you see the Did you see
the red flags?
Did you see the writing on the wall of this isn't going to work?
With the fiancé?
With Butch. Was it?
Yeah. Well, yes, it's quote Butch. So
oh, quote Butch.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think with any relationship, it started right. There was always sort of a mismatch there, but it felt like it was close enough. And then you sort of hope that those mismatches will just become the loving idiosyncrasies of the person that you just live with.
Right.
But over time, I think even some good relationships can evolve wrong.
Right.
And instead of the good parts growing and filling the gap, the bad parts grew and filled in and took over.
Right.
So I think we probably should not have moved to Nashville together from Chicago in an RV and sold all of our possessions. But then the pandemic hit and sort of broke all of that wide open. And, they say things happen for a reason, and that's always a huge eye roll. But in this case, I really do think so, and I think that's one of the things the book explores is that concept of things happen for a reason, and it's just one after another after another.
I want to talk about your caution and your eventual meeting with Howard in New York, but you mentioned the pandemic broke out, and you mentioned in the book that was among your most creative periods musically. Were you getting support from your previous relationship? Musically as an artist?
Right. No, and that was definitely one of those moments. And one of the things in the book I explore is the differences and how when you kind of have something that fits and finally feels just right, it shows exactly how wrong the previous thing was and how little it fit.
Right.
And yeah, so my creativity really blossomed in that period. Butch took a travel job to get away from me, and in that time I turned our whole house into basically a recording studio and made a mini movie, and he hated all of it.
Right.
And yeah, so I
And when you have that important person in your life that isn't supportive professionally, and I would imagine not supportive physically or emotionally either.
all of the above.
Yeah, that has to affect your other relationships.
Certainly. And definitely affected my perception of myself and my
Good.
self-worth, and I really got into a dark place. And that's sort of the thing that Howard restored for people, is he helped give or amplify people's voices and amplify the positive parts of people.
Right.
And so meeting him was a blessing in multiple ways.
You describe in the book the hotel that you stayed at in New York where he invited you to. You described your very first kiss with him there. And for me, and this is going to be the dumbest question that I ask the entire segment here. You spoke of a song that was playing on the Bluetooth speaker during that kiss.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the song?
It was just a sort of instrumental, I don't want to say like F jams, but it was just sort of like a moody, set the tone kind of playlist.
Right.
So I can't think of exactly what the song would have been.
Okay. When you spent that time with him in New York, did you fall in love at that point? Now that you knew that this is who he says he is, and or I wondered, after having read that, you first come off you come off as more than cautious. Really, you come off almost insecure about this meeting with Howard.
Sure.
Did you feel less than worthy of Howard, or so much so? Because when you ask the limo driver how often he does this, that to me is a sign of, well, he's not really secure in this relationship. Did you feel cheapened as you left New York?
No, well, remember it had only been like it was a whirlwind weekend, right? So I wasn't sure if this was something that Howard did all the time.
Right.
I had no idea. So
he was substantially more experienced than you. Right.
Yeah, he's 25 years older than me.
Right.
So I didn't know, and I suspected he was a very genuine person. He was very charming. But so I thought, well, maybe this is something that he does. Right. And I think I've been raised to be responsibly skeptical. Right. You know, so I have some self-preservation instincts that kick in. But I had a very good feeling that this was genuine, that this was a real thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And the limo driver just drove it home. No, man, this isn't something he does all the time.
Yeah, I feel like I have a pretty good lie detector, and I felt like he was being real.
Right.
Yeah.
I also, again, unable to put the book down,
Yeah, that's right.
and having gone through it now a second time, you mentioned that you can't overstate the importance of a partner who gets you.
Yeah.
Tell us how he got you.
All of the insecurities that I'd built up about myself and my career, it's like I didn't even need to express them. He just got them.
Right.
Without words, he just knew what I was going through. And so I wouldn't even have to say much for him to say something that completely pulled me out of a spiral.
Right.
You know, I remember walking through my apartment complex, talking to him on the phone, possibly before we met. It was early on. And, you know, without trying to complain too much or lament about, you know, a gig that didn't go well or whatever, he just told me, you know, you picked probably the hardest way to make a living, but you've been doing it for almost 20 years. Right. And so his way of putting things into perspective for me knowing that he's worked in the entertainment industry for his entire life and he knows exactly what it takes, and he's seen so many people who are talented and ostensibly have everything it takes to make it who just don't. It's like he, of all people, knows exactly what was happening in my head, and he could just calm me down so easily.
Did you ever find an opportunity to reciprocate that kind of insight to him?
Yeah, I think I like to think that I helped him with a few insecurities of his. I think his body positivity was one that he always wrestled with, gaining and losing weight, and there's some pretty cute stories about that in the book.
Right.
So I think I helped him with that. I also think I touched on this in the book, but it's Howard and I put love and sex in different baskets. Like, for me, love and sex are in the same basket. Like, I really like to have that connection.
Right.
For him, and this is no judgment, he just sort of has those in different baskets, and they can live in separate
Sex can
areas.
be utilitarian.
Yeah, it can
for
just
him.
be fun,
Right.
just like golf is to some people.
Right.
You know, it's just like,
Right.
that's what we're doing this afternoon.
Right.
Going out with the buddies.
Right.
And I think I was able, over our year together, to finally show him what it's like to have those in the same basket.
Right.
And to really have like a meaningful, intimate, loving connection with a partner.
That leads me to the first time that you two made love in New York.
Mm-hmm.
You came out of the restroom and he was on his phone.
Yeah.
Again, that has to lend to a little insecurity, and that
Right.
has to lend to a, well, I get it now, what are we doing here type
Yeah,
of thing.
back on scruff. It's
Right.
like, really? Like, he's inviting someone into the party. I'm like, this is our party.
Right, right. And was he receptive to your...
He was.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. I think, he had his guard up initially as well. He had been divorced. He had been to the bottom of the relationship well.
Right.
And so he was guarded too. And so I think that both of us in that moment were sort of definitely convinced that this was real, but trying to play it cool.
Right. And once you left New York and he went back to Los Angeles and you went back to Nashville,
Yeah.
how long was it in between times that you saw each other again?
It ended up being just a few weeks for the next one. I was in Chicago for some gigs, and he was there for a wedding, and we sort of bent our schedules to intersect for a few days. And after that, it was like another few weeks to the 4th of July, and after that, we just kept like making the gap shorter and shorter until we were pretty much spending every day together, which was exhausting. Just all the travel was a lot.
Right. I want to talk musically because you went back and went right back to gigging with your band. Were you at the time you were with Mutz, the band?
We were sort of on a hiatus. I was doing a lot of wedding gigs with the bands in Nashville. I was doing some stuff with my band in Nashville. Got to play the main stage of Nashville Pride, which was fantastic. Doing some mini tours with the horn section, and then some solo stuff too. So
was the... And I'm because we have Mutt's music here at the radio station,
fantastic.
and I love it. I think it's fantastic, as is your solo music. I see and can hear and feel the growth as an artist for you in the solo music. So I wonder if not selling out the 10-year anniversary show with Mutz was the deciding factor to go solo.
It was up there. I mean, I felt like Mutz. Someone came up to us who was in this clique of sort of like very established bands from Chicago, and they're like, "Oh, you're in Mutz? You guys are like low-key famous." I was like, "Cool, could you help us be like high-key famous? That'd be sweet for my utility bills." Yeah, we were one of those bands that most of our fans were other artists and musicians.
Right.
Which was very. It felt like we were doing something that mattered and that was important and that was unique, but that didn't help pay the rent or put gas in the tank.
Right.
So it just when we got to that 10-year show, expecting it to be a sellout, and it was not. It was huge, deflating of my sales.
Right. As and I'll jump back and forth if you don't mind. But as I was reading through the book, and I want to talk about Butch, who didn't really support you creatively, emotionally, or physically. I think as I was reading, I'm like, this Butch sucks, man. That's what I thought. Butch sucks. There's nothing worse than the person you're with not giving you that kind of support. Not giving you physical attention, emotional attention, whatever it is you need. Yet on the other hand, and you describe it beautifully in the book, that I felt as a reader every single day, Howard desired you more and more, and not just physically desired you, but desired you more and more and more. That is the growth of the wonderful relationship that we read about in the book.
Yeah, and I'm glad that comes across. That's something that I wanted to make the book a focus on, is our relationship, not just the sad part, the grief, the illness. I wanted to make sure that the majority of it was how we grew as individuals as we intertwined our lives.
Right. And the age difference, 25 years,
25
was it?
years.
25-year age difference. In some cases, that's a death blow. That's that's the end of a relationship after a very short period.
Yeah.
This seems so different because he seems so much younger.
Yeah.
And you carry a much more mature than you were at 40 or 41 or whatever that is at the time.
Yeah.
So I think that gap was 25, maybe down to 10.
Or maybe I was older by 10.
Maybe with the caution and the carefulness there.
And you know, with my current partner as well,
right.
It's I tend to be the more mature one.
You do. And and I love your current partner more than you can know. He's wonderful, but yes, you do tend to be the more mature one. And I want to get into that as well. When you lose somebody, if I can jump forward a little bit.
Sure.
Okay, may I?
Yes.
First of all, the epitaph that Howard wrote for himself long before knowing that he was that he had cancer, long before the diagnosis, he had bought plots for both of you in his home state of Michigan.
Yeah.
And the epitaph that he wrote for himself was, "Two roads diverged in a wood. I took the less traveled." What did he mean by that? And explain it to us, and tell the audience about the comma in the period.
Okay. So Howard was a trailblazer in the LGBTQ plus community. Right. He, in '86, moved out to LA from Chicago, and 3 years later started his own PR firm. And his mentors at his previous company said, "You're nuts. You're never going to represent the people who are going to keep your bills paid while representing gay, lesbian, trans rights, while putting a spotlight on AIDS awareness, all that kind of stuff." Because if we can go back 30, 40 years, at that time, no brands, no major companies, no A-list celebrities were going to want to work with somebody who was working on those causes.
It was stigmatized.
It was the height of the AIDS epidemic.
Right.
And so he said, I'm going to do that. These are the causes in my heart. And so his very first client was a young man who had been expelled from the Naval Academy for being out. And so from his very first case, he was working on LGBTQ plus issues and built 3 different successful PR companies with that as a core value. So I think when he picked that epitaph, that was a nod to him keeping his values so close to his heart and sticking with them and never backing down. But he also, that line ends in a comma in the Robert Frost poem.
Right.
The final line is, "and that made all the difference." Or maybe it's "that has made all the difference." But I said you can't just turn the comma into a period.
I love this.
Yeah. So we had a little debate over, and granted, this is very soon after we've met.
Right.
We're talking about the epitaph on his tombstone. But he tackled the hard issues head on, so it wasn't out of character for him to want to take care of this. And To be clear, he didn't buy the second plot for me. He just assumed at some point he was going to have a person to be next to him. Right. So when he shows me this like mock-up of his grave and says I have 2 plots together and we've known each other for like 6 or 7 months, I'm like, whoa, what are you talking about? We're just getting started here. We had just started talking about getting engaged and what our wedding is going to be like when he pulls this out. So it definitely kind of threw me for a loop.
Why didn't he have someone before you? Why wasn't there that love of his life, you know?
Yeah. And that was, I think he was a provider, you know, because of his job. It was just part of what he did was to look out for other people. He was the publicist. He was the amplifier. Right. And so I think, I can't speak for everybody in his life, obviously, but I think a lot of people just assumed that's what Howard does. He takes care of people. He doesn't need to be taken care of. Right. But the thing that most people who only casually knew Howard, it's what they don't know is that he was a very gentle soul, and he was fragile in some ways. He was vulnerable, and so I was at a place in my life where I could see that, and I wanted to take care of him and be that protector. Right. He's a big dude. He was 6'4". Like, he doesn't outwardly appear like he needs that, but everybody needs that.
Right. And then he couldn't have gotten a better protector or someone better to look after and watch his back.
Thanks, Ed.
Talk to us about the night you were planning to propose to him and how it was that he went to the doctor and why and some of the things that may have transpired.
Well, this is one that I hope can be a PSA for people. Is he thought he had like a gum infection. His gums swelled up, and he was very tired. He said it was like this for a few days before he went to his doctor, or he went to his dentist first, thinking it was with his teeth. He had a checkup, and the dentist just gave him some antibiotics, I think. A couple of days later, it hadn't cleared up, and he was just so exhausted. So that's when he went to his doctor. Did a blood draw, and then that's when they realized it was leukemia. So I think that a lot of issues start in your mouth, apparently, with some of these diseases. So it's like it's a warning sign. And who knows if he had caught it a few days earlier, if that would have made a difference or not.
And the plan of action at that point, you proposed at that point?
Yeah.
And was that moment darkened? Obviously,
of course.
Yeah.
I didn't. So we had been planning on taking a trip to Mexico together, and I was going to propose on his birthday in Mexico.
Right.
And instead, I proposed in his hospital room.
Right.
So, of course, that was not what I was anticipating.
So and the wedding took place in a hospital room as well. During the wedding, you knew you were going to be a widower at that moment. Did was Howard, when he got the diagnosis of leukemia, was there a certainty with him that this is it, it's over, I'm going to die?
No, not right away. He was resolved to fight. It was several days after the diagnosis. I will never know exactly what he went through, but it felt, from my perspective, like one day he was saying, I'm not giving up, and the next day he was talking about going on hospice. Right. I'll never know what the night was like for him in between, but it took me by surprise, caught me off guard when he was telling his doctors this plan. So it was a couple of days of knowing that I was going to be a husband and a widower at the same time.
Right. And before I go into the darkness of the moment and the moments that followed, and a favorite memory that you keep with you of him, of something you did together, what was it? Meeting in New York? Was it?
Meeting in New York was one of the most special times of my life, just because it was such an adventure.
Right. You were out of your comfort zone as well.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, in every way it was unexpected,
Right.
and it exceeded my expectations of what that weekend would be. We went to a play. I don't think I put this in the book. The play we saw was so on brand for him. What was it? It was about a baseball team, and there was nudity in it, of course.
Right.
So just like going to a play, going to the concert for his client, like, yeah, I think that's the moment that cemented what I was already thinking, which was like, this is the guy for me.
Right. Right. As he was passing, as he was dying, and this is the part that I've heard the death rattle too. I've been in the room, both my parents and my sister. I've heard that rattle. Never with my partner, which I'll explain was a different thing entirely. But hearing that and having those other people in the room, were you able to share the intimate grief that you were suffering at the time, or was that blocked by having other people there?
No, I didn't. I wasn't. I was barely aware that there were other people there. I had my head right next to Howard's, and was just talking to him. I was singing to him softly, and it didn't matter to me. Besides, they were his loved ones as well.
Right.
They knew him a lot longer than I did.
Right.
I was glad to have them there for strength and for company, and so that they could pay their last respects, and that Howard knew they were there for him.
Right.
Some very special people to him were able to be there. So
I'm going to answer a question right now that a text connector is sent in. The death rattle is when fluid builds up in the back of the throat, and that's what you hear in those final moments.
it's like this really awful gurgling.
There's nothing worse. It is, and you never forget it, and you'll never forget it. That those same people that were in the room then, those same friends and family, Shiva is a Jewish faith. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yeah.
It brought a week of friends and family to you, and it kept you from being alone. And this is kind of a selfish question I'm going to ask you here, and it's losing your partner to me is absolutely unimaginable. You know my partner, 21 years.
Yes,
I
amazing.
cannot imagine that moment.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you this question completely out of selfishness more than anything else. I always say at home, I have to go first.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go first. Losing her is as unthinkable as any pain I would imagine. Mike, I would collapse. I would draw the shades and live in the dark. I would never get out of bed, and I would die miserable and alone. During the time shortly after his death, did you ever consider taking your own life?
I did, but it's not in my constitution, and it's not. If I saw Howard after that moment, he would have been pissed.
Okay.
I would. So I was so sad and missing him, missing out on our future together. I wanted to go meet him, but I knew that he'd be very upset with me.
Okay.
So
All right. You have a tattoo on your right forearm there. It's a butterfly. Describe it for the audience and the significance.
If you're looking on the live stream, I don't know if they can see that.
Okay. And the significance of it and the butterfly itself and the framed picture.
Yeah, so guess what is a story that I put in there, and it's just part of something that Howard said to me, not regularly, but a couple times, and it was such a memorable experience that I knew that was going to be part of me forever. So I found his handwriting going through his papers in his desk, and I found those two words, took them to a tattoo artist, and had them tattooed on me. So this is actually Howard's handwriting. The butterfly, it started with Howard and his mother. So when his mother was sick, and Howard was emotional, she said, "Don't be sad. I'll send you a butterfly to let you know I'm okay." And so the morning after she passed, he was eating outside somewhere, and a butterfly came and landed on his toast and stayed there long enough for him to take a picture. And so he has that picture on his desk, and now I have it on my desk. And then I had another, without giving everything away.
Right. You got to buy the book, people.
I had a very significant butterfly moment through one of his closest friends, Dr. Jennifer Ashton.
I was going to ask you about that, yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And since then, there have been several. Like, there's one right there.
Right, right.
And it just feels like they show up when I need them.
Right.
Another one that's not in the book was on the year anniversary of his passing. I was back in Michigan. I wanted to go visit his grave, and there's a story in there about this unveiling ceremony, which is supposed to be 1 year from the passing. Mine was 7 months.
Because his aunt had passed, right?
Like everything in our relationship, ours was accelerated. So I said, I want to have that. I want to honor the tradition. So I went by myself. And so it's freezing. It's February in Michigan. And I'm out for a walk. I'm like, if I ever needed a butterfly, it's now.
Right.
And I'm not going to get it. And as I'm thinking that, my phone buzzed in my pocket, and it's freezing. I'm all bundled up, so I wasn't going to check it. When I got home, it was a text with a butterfly in it from Scott.
Okay.
So they pop up.
Yeah. And you've had a million signs since then that it's hard for those of us that haven't been through it or haven't seen the signs like you, but there were signs that Howard hadn't really left. At the airport, Sean Van Fleet changing airports and changing planes.
Yeah.
And the lady with the Michigan sweatshirt that you just randomly spotted in an elevator.
That flight for the funeral was full of them.
Right.
So many little, I like to call them God winks, so many little signs that I was physically alone, but I wasn't alone.
Right. And I do want to, without giving it away, Dr. Ashton said, don't forget, or she got a text that said, don't forget to send me butterflies from Howard.
So a lot of people were texting me things to say to him.
Right.
And so I was reading as many as I could, and she texted to ask Howard to send her butterflies.
Right. And that came out of nowhere for her. She says it just popped into my head.
Yeah.
Right.
She didn't know the story about Howard and his mother. Right. And then she got her butterflies after the funeral.
Okay. You mentioned Scott and receiving the text with the butterfly.
Yeah.
Scott is your current fiance, a wonderful man.
Yeah,
whom,
absolutely.
If anybody knows him, you'll love him. How do you fall in love again?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we talked about the walls you put up after a separation. It's a whole different type of wall after you've lost somebody. But, I think that this is another one of those indicators that Howard is still in my life and guiding my life in some ways, because Scott is also a widower, and he and his late husband knew Howard, not closely, but just through being in Los Angeles and working with the LA LGBT Center. There were definitely several signs that were sort of like, this is okay. This is the path you're supposed to be on. And that helped. Without that, honestly, I don't know, because the wall that I was putting up was I'm not ready yet. But as another widower, Scott understood that.
Right.
Gave me all the space I needed for months and months, if not a full year.
Right.
Just like, take your time. We'll hang out when we can. But just know, like, I'm here when you need it.
You're helping each other heal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you will help each other heal forever from this point on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. The album and the writing of the songs in the album. It's different to write a song than it is to write a chapter in a book. When you consciously made the effort to make this album an honor of Howard.
Right.
The songs on it. Talk about some of those and the length of time it took to put pen to paper.
Yeah. I wanted it, like the book, to reflect our entire journey. So the majority of it is inspired by the happy times, by the fun we had. Silly things like when I tried to smoke pot with Howard and got super paranoid. Turned into a song called Paranoid in Paradise.
Right. Which we play often here.
Okay. Yeah, it's a fun one. So on the record, side A is all the fun stuff. And then I had a song called Beautiful Mess that I recorded with Mutz that I just didn't feel like was my story to tell.
Right.
It was about another tragedy in my family, and when we recorded it, it just didn't feel like it was the right emotion, and it wasn't my tragedy. I didn't want to share that story. Unfortunately, then I lived that song, and so that song became the start of side B, of the desperation, the mix of emotions of like the diagnosis and hoping he gets better and needing him to beat it so that we could have more time together. And so I felt like Beautiful Mess was a song that needed to be on the album, so I re-recorded it with my own band. And then there's a couple of songs that were just excruciating to write about losing someone close to you, more than close to you, like the love of my life. So I'm sitting there in front of this keyboard trying to compose something that is just shattering my heart further as I'm realizing in real time, like, this is real. This happened like a couple months ago. So it was excruciating, but it was something that I knew I had to do. Howard being an incredible storyteller himself, it's like I have to honor him by telling the whole story, and that includes the parts that I really didn't want to revisit. And then through the process of recording and writing, it took a couple of years. So I began the healing part of the journey. I think that's a lifelong process. Right. But I started on that road through the thing I was doing. So then some of the songs in the later chapters in the book were about that. Were sort of a real-time analysis of what was happening in my life, which was receiving these signs, seeing that Howard was continuing to be in my life, and the ways that my life changed in so many unexpected ways. None, not the least of which is now I live in Laguna Beach, right? Like, so things just kept happening, and so they all made their way into the record as I was making it.
Okay. I want to come back to sharing some stories out of the book and sharing some other stories, some personal stories. But would you grace us with a song from the album?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
It's going to be a little awkward because you won't be able to hear the piano.
They will.
Okay.
They will.
Oh, good. Okay. All right, so this is Waiting in the Light. It's sort of about the things we've been talking about. It's the reason the cover of the book is Cake Pops. It's the feelings of knowing that Howard is still there. The happiest day of my life was cut from a nightmare, it seemed. Finally locked you down for life. We sealed it with little cakes, but your words felt like autumn leaves. You found it so hard to breathe, nobody else was around, we were bound. And you said, across the universe, in the endless age divine, what were the odds I'd find my true love? I'm sorry, I know it hurts, I wish we had more time, but we will love again and come find me. I'll be waiting in the light. You told me one day at a time, when I asked how I could proceed without my sweetness by my side like tea without lemonade. I held on to you for life, tears rolling down my cheeks. My heartbeat felt naked without yours around. And you said, across the universe, in the endless age divine, what were the odds I'd find my true love? I'm sorry, I know it hurts, I wish we had more time, but we will love again and come find me. I'll be waiting in the light. Across the universe, in the endless age divine, what were the odds I would find my true love? I'm sorry, I know it hurts, I wish we had more time, but we will love again and come find me. I'll be waiting in the light. Oh, waiting in the light. Oh, I ain't going nowhere, I ain't going nowhere, I ain't going nowhere. I'll be waiting in the light, right by your side. I'll be right by your side, right by your side, waiting in the light. Are we peeking out? Thank you.
You were peeking a little bit. You were peeking. No, that's all right. That was on me. So it's all good now. Writing music from a dark place, not just a dark place. Writing music from the darkest places imaginable.
Yeah.
I imagine you completed side one first.
No, it was sort of a multi-part process. They were all sort of coming together at the same time.
Your echo's up. There you go.
Thank you.
There you go.
Actually, so yeah, the songs all came together sort of, they all nudge along at the same time.
Right.
Which is just torturous, sort of going back and forth between these things. And even the happy songs would make me upset and have to break down and take a pause, just thinking about the lost opportunity to have more of those.
Songs that may have been left on the cutting room floor, were there any?
Yeah, there were several ideas that just didn't quite fit, that may or may not work themselves into other records.
Okay. Right. And was Howard musical at all?
He was not, but he had a vocabulary of music that was broader than any I'd ever experienced. I mean, he introduced me to more current stuff than I would have guessed. I mean, the song Moon River is in the book. He introduced me to Frank Ocean's version of that, which is spectacular.
Right.
But it's like he knew as much about current artists as he did about artists of his time and before his time.
Right. Moving forward for you, you have Scott in your life. And again, because Scott also lost the love of his life.
Right.
And again, as I mentioned earlier, you guys are helping each other heal. Are there moments of guilt that you're in love?
Yeah, it is a very complicated thing. For us, we consider it like a 4-man relationship. So I think that that sort of evens out any of those feelings. But I think at first, certainly, there's a little bit of that. I think for me, the biggest feelings, the most palpable feelings of guilt were the first times I smiled or laughed. And it felt like I was a traitor. Like, how could I possibly find something funny or enjoyable without Howard here? That was kind of the biggest thing for me to overcome, was that it's okay to continue living my life. And like Howard even said, one day at a time. Life is for the living. You have to find love again. You have to keep moving forward. But you just don't want to when you're in that moment. You think there shouldn't be joy in the world without your person there.
You mentioned after the moment that he passed that you put his stuff into his backpack that he always carried around, got into the car and was driving back, and you would see people on the streets laughing and talking, and there was this tinge of anger of how you could be happy at that moment.
Yeah, the world just keeps going. It's brutal. The world doesn't care about us on a macro level, right? Like existence doesn't owe us anything.
Right.
But you think when you've experienced this fundamental loss in your life, like how could you not care? But that's just part of it.
So I'm going to ask you to grace us with another song before we go. Are there times where you catch a scent and that scent is Howard?
Yeah, there's this, I can't remember the brand, it doesn't matter, but it's sort of like a lavender sandalwood-ish sort of combo that was like this candle that was in the entryway. So anything like that just sends me right back to the first time I walked into Howard's house. And I wanted to say something when you mentioned the bag. There's so many, I think maybe anyone who has experienced the loss can identify with this. There's so many little mundane things that are triggers. And it's the thought that, like, he had this bag going into the hospital, assuming he would carry it out. So whenever I see that bag, it's like, and I had to clean out the spice rack. This was last week. And I'm bawling, looking at these dates of, like, expired spices. I didn't feel like they expire, but apparently they do. They, like, lose their flavor. So I'm like, he bought these planning to cook something with them. I'm crying over a thing of oregano 3 years later. So it's like grief is not linear. It's always there, and it'll creep up on you. So you just have to sort of work with it instead of letting it overtake you.
Specifically, how has Scott helped you heal?
The space and the daily affirmation of, we have our late husbands, our forever guys' pictures on our nightstands. Okay. And so every morning we wake up, good morning, Howard, good morning, Michael.
Right.
It's those are the ways to work with it, to invite the grief into your life in a healthy way.
Right. Did you grow up religious at all?
Yeah, I was raised Catholic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And you stayed religious or Catholic, or no, you drifted off and I, because I'm curious if faith has any healing powers.
It's a thing I think I address at the end of the book, the evolution of my feelings on that. It's I feel like this is a cliche. I'm more spiritual now.
Okay.
But I know 100%. I'm not here to like sway anybody else's beliefs on this, but I know there's something else. Right. I know there's something beyond the reality that we can touch and hear. What that is, it would be very audacious for me to say I know what that is, but I know it's there. And so I think that whatever gets you there, or whatever you use, whatever faith looks like to a person, is valid, as long as it's not hurting other people.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, I think the structure of religion isn't a necessary thing for me, but I understand the foundation of it and why it's there.
Okay. I'm letting our audience know before he plays us another song. The book is Guess What? I Love You. The album is titled The Same Thing. Here at the Cultural Arts Center in Laguna Beach, the Laguna Beach Cultural Arts Center. A week from tomorrow, Mike will be performing live songs from the album. He'll be discussing items from the book, and tickets are available now. And it's doors open at 6:30. Showtime is 7 p.m. What are you going to grace us with now?
Let's do On My Way. This is the one that wasn't going to be on the record. It was a voicemail I left for Howard. Like, I called him to say I was really excited to come on one of our trips, and he didn't pick up. And I had a guitar, and this little idea was sort of in my head, so I played it for him. Right. And when I saw him, he said, "Oh, that was like so cute. You should turn that into a song." And I was like, cute's not, that's not what I do. And so I didn't do anything with it. And then as I was putting the album together, I wanted to narrate it with some of our voicemails back and forth. And this popped into my head. I thought I'll just put that little voicemail as it is. But then it was a little pitchy. I tend to have an inaccurate voice. I'm okay with that. I work on it, but it's just what it is. And so I said, I need to like re-record it. And I was just going to have it be the little hook, and that's it. And then something kind of nudged me to write a verse. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll send it to my band back in Nashville, who was already done with the whole record. And we did another song. And then I put it on the record, and when I played it for my Patreon patrons and asked what should the first single be, that's the one they picked. Of course. The one I didn't want to.
Of course.
So it's like.
And just to let you know, it's not pitchy. It is the love child of Leon Russell and Randy Newman. That's what it is.
Right. It's stylistic choice.
All right. Once again, performing on the Billie Holiday stage, it's Mike Maimone.
I see you smiling before I wake, but I reach out to touch you and grab empty space. I open my eyes, it's finally the day. I've been waiting a long time to kiss your face. I'm on my way, I'm on my way. I'll go anywhere. I'm on my way, I'm on my way. Anywhere. If I will see you there. Thinking about how your skin feels touching mine gives me butterflies in my stomach like our very first night. I hope you getting ready for your marathon ride, 'cause making love in real life's way better than FaceTime. I'm on my way, I'm on my way. I'll go anywhere. I'm on my way, I'm on my way. And I'll go anywhere. I will go to the mountains under the sea, so you can share the covers with me. I know that I could find you blindfolded. Love is so precious, we gotta hold it delicately like a wide open heart, growing fonder the longer we're apart. I don't think I can take one more day. I'm hopping a plane, I'm on my way. On my way, anywhere. On my way, on my way, anywhere. on my way, on my way, and I'll go anywhere. If I will see you there.
Yes. So for the Instagram audience, you were unable, much like the sidewalk audience, to hear the keyboards. You can check us out. You can hear everything on voiceoflaguna.com, which is where that will live forever. In our conversation, it escaped me just for an instant of how great a pianist you are.
Oh,
what a magnificent musician that you are. And I've got to just share with you, how beautiful a read the book is and your story, and how magnificent the album is. I have all your albums. It is, to me, your best work. I absolutely love it.
Thank you. I can't thank you enough for having me, and just in general for your friendship and supporting what I do.
Right.
It means a lot to me.
Our live audience can check you out a week from tomorrow, Saturday the 4th, at the Laguna Beach Cultural Arts Center. Doors open at 6:30. Showtime is 7. Tickets are available now. How can we buy the book or the album, which you also have on vinyl, by the way?
Oh, yeah. It's a butterfly pattern of vinyl, too. I like to do something fun with all of the actual wax. The book is on all of the things where you get books, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, audiobook, on Audible. The ebook is out there, so all of that stuff. The record you can get from me at MikeMaimone.com. You can also stream it on all of the things, Spotify, Apple Music.
All right. Mike, thank you so very much for taking the time and for sharing your love and sharing your music with us
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Thank you. 2:03 the time. It's the Voice of Laguna.